Hey y'all, Uncle Jimmy here. When you speak for yourself, you're forced to think for yourself. And when you think for yourself, the sports world looks different. In order to enjoy this podcast and this show, you need to have the courage to look at the world from alternative points of view and not be offended when you disagree. Speak for yourself isn't your Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram feed. SFY tells you what you need to hear and not what you want to hear. So, welcome aboard, buckle up, and enjoy the ride.
We start in Dallas. All right, so what are we supposed to believe about Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott? Fox Sports reporter Jay Glazer emphatically stated Friday, Dak will be the quarterback of the Cowboys, period. End of story. It's going to get done. Cowboys legend Michael Irvin emphatically stated Friday, unfortunately, this thing is about to turn and get a little ugly. I guess both statements could be true. Successful contract negotiations can get a little ugly before getting done. Glazer and Irvin might both be right, but I'm not so sure. Also on Friday, Cowboys reporter Clarence Hill informed that Dak Prescott turned down $33 million a year from the Cowboys. The Cowboys and Dak Prescott have a genuine disagreement about his value. Prescott and his agent Todd France view Dak as a potential NFL star. Jerry and Stephen Jones view Dak as a solid NFL starter. Star versus starter, that's the same as Roger Staubach versus Danny White. Staubach was the Cowboys' star quarterback for 9 seasons. White was the Cowboys' starting quarterback for 8 seasons. Staubach led the Cowboys to 2 Super Bowl titles. White led the Cowboys to the NFC Championship game 3 straight years. He lost all 3 games. I believe this understanding of Cowboys history is why Michael Irvin remarked that very significant people told him the Cowboys have an interest in Patriots free agent quarterback Tom Brady. Irvin subsequently backpedaled on the statement, clarifying that the very significant people don't hold jobs within the Cowboys organization. All right, let me translate what that could mean. Former players with close ties to Jerry Jones have discussed with Jones the possibility that Brady would be a better option than overpaying for Dak. Brady is a star quarterback. He'll be a star at 50. Right now, Dak Prescott is a starter. He's Danny White. He's Jared Goff. When the Rams overpaid for Goff, they mistakenly thought he was a potential star. When the Eagles paid Carson Wentz, they believed he was a star, and they still do. You pay stars. Things get ugly with starters who think they're stars. I'm leaning toward Michael Irvin. The former players around Jerry Jones are advising him to make things ugly with Dak Prescott. I'm sorry.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
All right, joining the desk now are Fox Sports NFL analysts LeVar Arrington and Bucky Brooks. Marcellus, get us rolling.
Yes.
Think Dak negotiations with the Cowboys will turn ugly?
Not at all. There are 2 factors supporting why I think they won't get ugly. One, Dak has an underappreciated value on the field. And 2, he has an uncashed franchise equity off the field that he is not being appreciated for, therefore can't get ugly. Dak's done everything the right way. You pay Zeke, and Zeke didn't get everything done the Cowboys' way, but on the field, he was a beast. Off the field, he was a little bit of an issue.
A beast.
He was a beast, right. Different type of beast. And they tried to put it back in the cage. Dak, as ugly as it will get, is Dak saying, I won't be around the star this offseason. That's about as ugly as it gets with Dak. No more contention from Dak. From the Cowboys, they're saying all the right things as well. Behind closed doors, they need to get this done, and they need to save face, complexion for Dak as he's going to lead this franchise going forward. You don't want to have to pay somebody, but take away their value as a leader in the process. So Dak is going to make sure, and I think the Cowboys are going to respect it doesn't need to get ugly.
Man, I just find it always funny. Like, we always have this Dak conversation, and I just can't understand why it's taken so long for him to get the money that he's rightfully deserves. He has saved the Cowboys about $100 million being the starting quarterback. They've never had a losing season with Dak Prescott. They've won 2 division titles with Dak Prescott. They have the second most wins in the National Football League. He does, behind Tom Brady, as a starting quarterback since 2016. You talked about it so eloquently in your piece. You talked about paying stars, not just other guys. With Jared Goff, is he a star? He's at $33.5 million.
That was a mistake.
Right. So if he's at $33.5 million, if he's at $33.5 million, I'm Dak Prescott. I can't come in below that because I'm more accomplished than him individually. And what?
Will it turn ugly? That's the question.
No, because Dallas is going to cave and give him the money. I told you. I've been saying this from the fall. He's going to get about $35 million. That's what it's coming in at.
Yeah.
Like, he already turned down 33 in September. Inflation. The cost of doing business only goes up. It's just a matter of when is Dallas going to realize they got to give him his dough, but he's getting his money, every penny of it.
It's going to turn as ugly as Dak and his agent allow it to turn. And I think that that's what we saw coming into this season, and I think that it will become even more pronounced moving forward. I don't think they're going to break and give him the money. I think if they were going to pay him, much like how they ended up breaking down and paying Ezekiel Elliott, I think they would have gave him the money. I think they would have found a way to give him the contract that he felt he was supposed to get awarded, and that has not happened. There is a seed of doubt that is growing at the Dallas facility. I don't know who's with. One of the Joneses, somebody who's in the scouting department. Someone is not
Mike McCarthy?
Could be Mike McCarthy coming in. Someone is not 100% sold on what Dak Prescott brings to the table. And the reason why I think it gets ugly is he may very well force, or the Dallas Cowboys may make the decision, however you want to put it, to put that franchise tag on Dak Prescott in order to continue to try to buy themselves time to see if they really want to make
ugly,
that. I think it gets ugly because Dak is going to make it ugly if they go with the franchise tag.
Franchise tag is obviously a promotion for Dak in terms of year to start. Look, he's made $4 million in his career so far on the field. 33 next year. Behind closed doors, they're kind of like, all right, not bad. We could ride this train. But Dak saw Ezekiel get paid in part because it did get a little ugly when Marshall Faulk jumped in. He had a hype man, like in boxing. You need somebody to hype up the crowd. We ain't just here to see gloves touch. We're here to see
Bucky.
We need Bucky. Yeah. Bucky with the Cowboys, Bucky with Dak. We need something like that. More importantly, if you're Dak, you need to look back and learn from history and learn and teach some history to the Cowboys. Tony Romo, my guy. Boy, I love me some damn Tony Romo. The only guy on that team, it seemed like, that really kept things afloat when they were pretty lean in terms of talent around Tony Romo. And Tony Romo went out there and got paid $108 million, was it? With this worst win percentage, same playoff win percentage. And Dak is looking like, in 2013, y'all giving up $100-some million to Tony Romo, and right now, second most wins, all the accomplishments I have, and I'm winning more than him. I can't get that.
Him. That very fact could be playing against
Let me hear.
Dak Prescott. Well, that's it. There's no reasoning needed. It's other than that very point could be playing.
Because they didn't realize into a Super Bowl championship?
Right, yes.
But I'm not him. But I'm doing things like him that got rewarded. I can't get rewarded to get to the next level?
If you're looking at what you felt, if I'm Jerry Jones, if I'm in that organization and I'm looking at the Dallas Cowboys team this year, I feel as though our team grossly underachieved what we're paying for. Do we want to continue to pay for something that we felt grossly underachieved, or do we want to see what the outcome is going to be moving forward with this team in terms of can we get the results we're seeking?
Whether people like it or not, Tony Romo was perceived as an elite quarterback during the course of his career.
He really was.
Dak's not perceived that way.
Yeah.
He's Danny White. Can you deal with that, Buck? He is Danny White. Started for 8 seasons.
I think that's so disrespectful.
3 straight NFC championships. And went to a Pro Bowl.
I think it's so disrespectful. You compare
Danny White
to Danny White. How about this? I'm going to make the case that he's more Troy Aikman than Danny White. And here's why. And here's why. Because the Troy Aikman Dallas Cowboys, the Troy Aikman Dallas Cowboys in the 90s that we played against, those guys won 3 Super Bowls. But they weren't driven by the play and the performance of the quarterback. They were driven by the engine of Emmitt Smith and that Pro Bowl-laden defense. Yes, Troy Aikman would make a handful of throws to Michael Irvin on the perimeter. But this was a team that won at the highest level because they played team ball, and it wasn't driven by the quarterback throwing all over the yard. So now we've talked about Dak, and we talk about this team being Ezekiel Elliott's team, that they've had 31 100-yard rushing games by a tailback when he's been the starting quarterback, and they won. That is terrific. That is great. That's what you're supposed to do when your team is built with the offensive line and a top 5 running back. You're supposed to do that. However, this year we came in saying we need to see him throw the ball better. We need to see him be a better passer. I need to see 300-yard games. Well, we saw that. Career highs, yards per game, passing yards per attempt, passing yards, touchdowns. All the individual stats, he's done. So when we talk about do you judge him by team performance, individual performance?
It didn't lead to
okay.
winning.
So when he has the second most wins, he and Russell Wilson, that's not good enough for him.
That's not even.
So now I got to ball out and go get mine. So I go and get mine to the level that I almost get 5,000 yards.
Which way?
That's not good. So
win.
what are we judging him on?
They don't know.
Postseason success, like everything.
Why?
Oh, that's what we're doing?
Romo got paid without postseason
that's what we're
success?
doing?
Romo was perceived, rightly or wrongly, as an elite quarterback.
Only after you became a broadcaster.
Dak, no.
Only after you became a broadcaster.
No.
When he was on that field.
That's the only reason why
Romo was still that dude. Romo was that dude when he was still out there.
Look, man, Troy Aikman was the number 1 overall pick in the draft.
Right.
He was an elite
Perception.
quarterback. Mm-hmm. He played.
And that's the reason why Jared Goff and Carson Wentz have gotten paid. Because they were drafted in the first round 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Dak Prescott is in the same class. We can bring up all the statistics. He's right there with them. So if his classmates get 32 and 33.5 million, he has to be in that same thing.
What he just said is very reasonable logic, right? But that's the only point I'm going with you on.
But he said it already.
Logic.
$33 million in September. Let's rewind time and go back to September when Dak was perceived as just marginal, as a guy who could just do little things with a lot. He went out there and graduated. He had a career year. So inflation and graduation means I should have some more money than
And
this.
If you put out your
divisions,
best
too.
album and it don't go platinum and it's just critically acclaimed, you ain't getting paid. Oh, it's critically acclaimed. No. We going by SoundScan. That's what you get paid.
But these are the numbers. We are giving you the numbers. I hear where you're going, but that's our reception.
All right,
These are the numbers.
let's answer this quickly.
Come on, man.
Think the Cowboys are legitimately considering Tom Brady for Dak Prescott?
Say yes.
I say yes, and I think it would be a step backwards. The only reason I would do that is if I could draft a quarterback that I fell in love with and couple them. Brady for the short term, tutor, and then all of a sudden I got me a long-term prospect in whoever I draft. However, you already got that embodied in a quarterback that's winning and leading your franchise. So to me, it'll be a step backwards to now bet on not 1, but 2 new Cowboys to come in, not only steady the ship, but also get better results and then get rid of something that I already know that I could bank on and build with in Dak Prescott. It's a step backwards.
From a business standpoint, it makes perfect sense.
Yes, it
in
does.
terms of star quality and all those other things. On the field, it is a regression. It's a step back because now the way that we're talking about the Cowboys having to play winning football, Ezekiel Elliott, the offense and the offensive line and the defense doing, you have to do the same thing for Tom Brady. Because make no mistake, you're talking about a declining player. All the evidence says that he's a declining player. So, yeah, you can bring him in, but it doesn't make the Cowboys better. It just gives them a star.
He spent a whole lot of money to build a championship roster. The one thing that owners run into all the time is time. They run out of it. And then now you can't keep these teams together. We see it happen all the time. He needs to win now. To make do on the investments that he's made, he needs to win now. So even if I bring in a guy like Tom Brady that I'm only going to get 1 good year out of, 2 good years, that 1 good year will surpass any of the average to just above average seasons that they've had over the last, decade?
Are we sure we're going to get a good year out of him, though?
Well,
are we sure we're going to get a good year out of Tom Brady?
There's no guarantee.
But he's right in terms of Jerry Jones is sitting there just like Clark Hunt, like, man, we got to get this championship with Patrick Mahomes while he's on this rookie contract. Let's salt that away and bank it away. And Jerry Jones has spent a bunch of money. He thought this year was a Super Bowl team. He wants to win right now. They could reach the conclusion Tom Brady gives us the best chance to win
now
in 2020
I
draft a young guy and develop him. And again, it sounds like I'm just critical of Dak. My only issue with Dak is he wants too much money. Dak at the right price is a long-term solution for the Cowboys, and I say stay the course. But Dak, anywhere over $30 million, to me, is...
They're offered 33. How you going to say that?
You going 33, so
I'm saying
you
for me, I wouldn't have given him 33. I wouldn't give it. Anything over 30 is a no-no for me, and I start looking around to see if I can get someone here that can win me now.
Look, usually you can't get less from more, but let's look at recent history. Philadelphia Eagles, Nick Foles. Yep. Lesser of a quarterback than Carson Wentz. His body of work suggests that, and what he did in Jacksonville suggests that. However, they got more out of him. If you want to extract that and say, give me a season of Nick Foles in the body of Tom Brady as the statue behind that offensive line, boy, you rolling some damn dice. And they sound loaded, but I wouldn't roll them.
Winningest quarterback in the history of the game. Roll the dice. Roll the dice.
That offensive line is not the same.
Because if you're trying,
no one wants to talk about it, but the offensive line.
But it's a good enough offensive line.
Tyron Smith is not the same guy that he was 3 years ago.
I agree with you there.
They can't run the ball the way that they've run it successfully in the past.
I agree.
Now you're putting more on Tom Brady, who can't move and doesn't throw the ball well outside the numbers.
But he has more. That more that he's been looking for.
The more
the
intangibles.
He has more players. He has more talent. He has more of an opportunity, especially with somebody like Mike McCarthy. They're going to understand each other. They're going to speak the same language. You're not going to pay Dak Prescott the money he's looking for based off of the results that the team got. I know we're saying that, we got to pay him based off of his individual accomplishments. That's fine. You're not going to pay a guy that much money if you're not close to the Super Bowl. Make it to the Super Bowl and lose. Then pay him.
It sucks to be a quarterback because there's no other position where that matters.
Everybody has to do taxes, and yet not everybody feels comfortable doing taxes, which doesn't seem right, especially when you consider all the amazing things these same people accomplish every day of their lives. TurboTax believes that with the right tools and encouragement, people can be good at anything. Yes, even taxes. And to help people feel more comfortable with the tax process, TurboTax Live gives you personal access to experienced CPAs and EAs who are there for you even on nights and weekends. And they're happy to go through your return with you line by line to double check that you've done everything right, so you can be sure to get your best possible refund and feel 100% confident in your taxes. TurboTax. All people are tax people. Time now for a big story presented by Hyundai. All right, let's move to Tom Brady, whose football future remains up in the air. According to Patriots insider Tom Curran, the team is irritated about a report that surfaced last week claiming they would be willing to pay the 42-year-old quarterback upwards of $30 million per year. Curran also reports that Bill Belichick is not taking orders from Robert Kraft about what to do with Brady. All right, the question here, Marcellus, think Bill Belichick believes Brady is worth $30 million per year?
I know you're doing your job just asking the question, but hell no. You know, Bill Belichick is like on the field, Tom Brady, in the peak of his powers, he wasn't getting $30 million a year. And then coming off of a Super Bowl victory, he was making $16 million a year. They bumped it up, gave him some good love, and made it $23 million a year. And now, in regression, you think that Belichick wants to pay him $30 million? Not at all. Belichick looks at football the way I look at football. I don't care about none of y'all. Like, only thing that's going to make me care is what you do. You only going to eat what you kill. And I'm talking about you. So in an assessment of Tom Brady, there's no way you can look at him on film and say that's a $30 million quarterback. If you want to bring in other issues, ancillary issues, you need to go upstairs. Go to management. That's down the hall. Go to ownership. That's upstairs. Don't come to me as the coach of this team and say that player deserves $30 million, because I know he doesn't.
Look, man, Bill Belichick has been one of the best at getting rid of players a year too early rather than a year too late. In this situation, we have seen the New England Patriots move on from Ty Law, Mike Vrabel, Willie McGinnis, Richard Seymour. I mean, everybody. He is not attached. He doesn't have these emotional attachment to players.
Right.
If Tom Brady comes back making $30 million plus, that's an ownership deal. That's not Bill Belichick, because that goes against everything the Patriots have ever done. I think he understands exactly who Tom Brady is on the field, and there's no way he would want to write that check for $30 million annually.
You guys continue to undervalue one Thomas Brady. Like, here's the reality of what you're saying, Bucky Brooks, is that Tom Brady should be weighted and measured as any of those great names, Hall of Fame names that you just mentioned. You can't weight them the same. And that's just what it is. Is he of the mindset that Brady is worth the $30 million? Sure. But does he want to give the $30 million? Probably not. Do you want to build a future for your team, or do you want to continue to run the risk of when will it be the end for Tom Brady on my roster? So while I'll say if I'm looking at the top guys, Russell Wilson, Ben Roethlisberger, Rodgers, Jared Goff, and Carson Wentz, on that list of guys, I would take Tom Brady over Goff. I would take Tom Brady over Carson Wentz. So, yes, he's worth more than $30 million. But what Bill Belichick does not want is to be dictated to who that value belongs to and if I have to actually pay that value out.
Look, I don't think Belichick or any coach does the calculus on their quarterback based off of, there are more factors like who can I get to replace him? Will they fit the culture? Will they allow us to win next year? There are things that Brady can do that will make him more valuable in New England than any place else. And so, again, it's really no different, in my view, than Dak Prescott. Dak's highest value is with the Cowboys, not another franchise, another team. Tom Brady, to me, his highest value, the team that should pay him the most, is the New England Patriots. These teams that are maybe the Chargers, maybe the Cowboys, whomever, that want to pony up a bunch of money for Tom Brady, I think that's a mistake. If the New England Patriots and Bill Belichick want to stay the course and, hey, we just won the AFC East again, we feel like we can get one more Super Bowl run out of Tom Brady, then he is worth $30 million.
But you don't stay the course by staying the course. Nick Saban says it so well. The first meeting he says after every year, especially when they were winning the championships, he'd get there and he'd look around and he's like, all right, guys, I want to just erase your minds because we are not defending a championship. Some of you guys weren't even here. And the ones who did it last year doesn't mean you can mail it in and do it again. And that's Bill Belichick's mindset as well. We are not looking at the comps of Aaron Rodgers, Jared Goff, Carson Wentz, as you said. Every coach I ever played with always had this understanding, and this is their mantra. Who can optimize my system? The plays I call, damn it, you can answer. That's it. Now look at Tom Brady through that lens. He's not answering the call because Belichick sits there more frustrated than all of us, saying that's a miss. That's a missed opportunity. And he counts those. Those are numbers in his head. Those are plays. That's production. So no way can you justify $30 million when Belichick.
How many missed opportunities does Belichick have? How many self-scout things come back on him and what he could have done better?
He's the judge.
Like, he's not holier than thou in this situation. And for what it's worth, with
the judge doesn't go to jail.
With your example of Mr. Saban, the only reason why it's not the same here is because Nick Saban did not have a Tom Brady for every one of his national championships, while one Mr. Belichick did. You can't separate, for what it's worth, we can try as hard as we'd like to separate Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, but you cannot until they're separate. So we can't use reasoning to say, go this way, go this direction as Bill Belichick, when everything you've done successful has come with him being the leader of your team at quarterback. I don't like that.
That's great. That is a great example.
It is nice.
I'm actually glad that you brought up the Nick Saban thing.
I was so proud of it.
Because
I sat
you
back
two
in my
guys,
seat.
you and Marcellus brought up two things. You brought up system. I didn't want to get beat up again because I called him a system quarterback. But let's make it that point because it is because of the system. In spite of Tom Brady declining, the New England Patriots continue to win. The last 13 games of last season, he was in the bottom 6. Completion percentage, yards per attempt, passer rating. Look, man, we judge people based on how they perform. And all of that Lifetime Achievement Award that you continue to give TB12, at some point, you have to look at who he is and what he does.
There are a lot of
last year, he has not played to the level to pay $30 million for a quarterback.
Okay, and you may be right. I'm not disagreeing.
No, I'm right.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I just want clarity.
Mustard on our beat.
Who goes in next year and does a better job than Brady and gives them a chance to win the Super Bowl?
It doesn't matter.
Yes, it does.
No, it doesn't matter. Like, we've seen this of late. We saw Matt Castle win 11 games in New England. We saw Jacoby Brissett do it.
Not a
We
Super
saw
Bowl until
Jimmy
they win the Super
Garoppolo
Bowl.
do it.
We will
and
not.
look,
Y'all don't know
here's
what
the thing
y'all
about the Super Bowl, because we keep bringing up the doggone Super Bowl. The last Super Bowl they won is because that top defense kept the Rams
last
down.
Super Bowl
And the
they
reason
won,
why
Tom Brady
the
was
Patriots
still their
were relevant
quarterback.
this year was because of that defense.
Tom Brady
was
Tom
the
Brady.
touchdowns. What you
All
talking
of
about?
these
Tom
credit.
Brady was your quarterback for the Super
He took the
Bowl
snap.
winning team.
He took the snap. So we want to give credit for people
on,
taking
man.
the snap. He
If
took the
that's
snap.
the case, then
He took
San
the snap.
Francisco would be the Super Bowl champs this year.
And they almost
Y'all need to
were.
stop
He
that,
just took
man.
the snap.
I'm not digging in that hole.
Y'all need to stop.
Once again, let's have a little history lesson here.
Stop.
When Jerry Jones was faced with his issues when they were dynastic, he decided to bet on his players. And so Jimmy Johnson and him parted ways, and he bet on his players, and it worked. So
One
now
year.
Bob Kraft may be sitting there saying, I'm going to bet on my coach. This is the long game.
Yeah.
You had the players in place.
And he has a system
There's
in place.
a ton of
he turned a
systems out
six-rounder
there.
into a GOAT. You think he's sitting there
There are a ton of
hostage?
great system
You think
coaches
he's
out there
hostage
that
to
have
Tom
not won
Brady?
a championship. Stop saying system. Players over plays, baby.
When you start your hiring process, you may have questions. Will you find good applicants to choose from? What about education and experience? And how will you know you've made the right hire? Indeed is here to help. Millions of great candidates use Indeed every day to find their next opportunity. You can post jobs in minutes and use screener questions to help create your short list of applicants fast. Also add skills tests to your job post so you can be confident in your applicant's abilities. Their library of more than 50 skills tests ranges from industry-specific skills like accounting to general aptitude tests like critical thinking. Indeed gives you the smart tools to make hiring decisions quickly and to be confident that you're making the right hire for your team. Post your job today at Indeed.com/speak and get a free sponsored job upgrade on your first posting. That's Indeed.com/speak. Terms and conditions, exclusions apply. Offer valid through March 31, 2020. Joined now by three-time NBA champion B.J. Armstrong and Fox NBA analyst Rick Bucher. All right, let's move to the Lakers, who struck out this week on bringing in a new piece to shore up the roster. First, they whiffed on a trade for Marcus Morris, and now they've settled for trying to land Dion Waiters after failing to lure Darren Collison out of retirement. Even so, LeBron tells our buddy Chris Haynes that his connection with the Lakers front office is the best of his career. All right, the question here is, are you buying LeBron is happy with the Lakers front office?
I'm buying it. I think this is really wrapped around his status and his tenure in the league, being a veteran. Like just in life, old people, they make life simpler. And they know exactly who they are and they know exactly what they want. And they're happier because when you're young, you waste a lot of time and energy on trying to win every single battle. And when you get older, you start to pick your battles a lot better and a lot wiser. So I respect LeBron James because he's probably not as adversarial as he was when he was young. Because when you're young and you're flexing, you're the man, you try to get it all. And I think LeBron's in a position where he realized, hey, I got the best record in the West. We're in the championship conversation. I got myself and AD, all-star starters, sunny skies, production company's booming. My son is killing it. Like, what else is there to complain about? I think he has a different way of assessing this situation as he came here for reasons outside of basketball reasons. This is results of it.
Yeah, I don't know if he's happy with the front office. I think he's happy with his life. And where the Lakers front office and where basketball sits in that universe isn't the same as it was before. Now, is he happier with the Lakers than he was with the Cavaliers? He ran the Cavaliers. As a young gun, he ran the Cavaliers. Who he wanted on the team plane was on the team plane. When they practiced, the whole deal. He had the full run of that place. He didn't have it in Miami. But I just look at it in this situation now, and again, he's got a lot of say-so when it comes to the Lakers. I just feel as if it's not as important to him. The reality is, if he was still gunning for championships, then he would be unhappy because they haven't been able to do all the things necessary to put him in the driver's seat. I just don't, from all the decisions made to be here, it was about his family, it was about his production company, where he wanted his kids to go to school, all of that. So it's secondary. Is he happy? No, but does he have to be? I feel like the answer for him is not necessarily.
Well, when you look at this, look, we can all say now at the midway point here, yeah, he should be happy. They have the best record in the league. Things are going smooth. There hasn't been any hiccups yet. But let's address this at the end of the season when it really counts, because this team wasn't put together with the idea of having the best record during the regular season. I think there's a lot of basketball to be played. I think the Clippers here are preparing for the long game here. And most important, I think when things are said, we're going to have a team, or we're going to have to address the situation and say, how are they going to really succeed at the end of the season? I'm not buying into this. This is the happiest we've been. Yes, things have gone great thus far, no doubt about it. We have nothing to complain about. But you know what? I think there's going to be a lot of basketball to be played, and I think the Clippers are going to have something to say about that.
I think everybody is right in their perspective. And I think that LeBron actually has no choice but to be happy with this front office, because he had developed a reputation as a guy that bullied front offices, and he can't afford to keep doing that, because eventually people say, well, you know what the common denominator is? It's not Dan Gilbert, it's not Eric Spoelstra, it's not Pat Riley, it's you. And so I think he has wisely satisfied himself with other things. His family, living out here in LA, business is booming. And so, but I think BJ's right that come May or June, depending on what this exit looks like, if they get in there against the Clippers and it's 4-0, and all of a sudden everybody, Skip Bayless, Jason Whitlock, are hammering LeBron James for the way they exited the playoffs, he's not as happy.
He has to have a sense. LeBron has been around this game long enough to know where things stand right now. Yes. He knows what they have. He knows what the Lakers have. And he knows that he's undergunned, undermanned right now. The really fascinating part is going to be if they indeed bring in Dion Waiters. Because Dion Waiters was persona non grata in Cleveland. He and LeBron did not get along there. So if LeBron is making room for him, if this indeed comes off in the order to make this team better, and it's all simpatico, that'll be very interesting for me to watch, just how much LeBron is willing to concede in order to make things better in the long run.
But we got to respect that happiness as an emotion.
Right.
It's fluid, and it's based on perspective. So LeBron's not scared to be on an undermanned team because he won a championship to the 73-win Golden State Warriors, undermanned in comparison to that team. What I think LeBron is starting to respect is, wow, I came to a team that last year, because of my injury and other situations, we didn't even make the playoffs. And look where we are right now. Oh, I'm happy. They steadied this ship. Youngsters got traded. Remember how dirty and nasty and ugly that got, how that had an effect on this team? Magic Johnson not even telling LeBron, peace out, and left. And then you give me Anthony Davis, and we still have the best record in the West. You could say that we're not ready for the imaginary Clippers, but I really have done this before. I've slayed dragons before. So I think he's happy in part because of all the examples he's had in his career and his perspective of this is the best setup I can ask for based on where I landed.
I'll say happiness is based on expectations more than perspective. And again, this is where I think everybody's right. His expectations in coming here to L.A., this was my narrative from day one. This ain't really about basketball. This is the Hollywood James experience. And I think the Hollywood James experiment is actually, in LeBron's calculus, going rather well. Yep. And so he's relatively happy. I do, again, when we get to May and June, though, and people are still talking about Mamba mentality, because trust me, nothing about this current setup would satisfy Kobe Bryant. And that's, people are going to start talking about what was really important to LeBron. Did he match Kobe and Michael Jordan's killer instinct and competitive spirit? Once those conversations start happening, I think he'll be a little more frustrated than he is right now.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think you made some excellent points here. But again, I just want to say at the end of the season, that's what we're all talking about here. And when you watch the LA Clippers, Lawrence Frank and company, the general manager, they are in on every player. They have been in on every free agent. They've been in on every trade. They're in on players talking about getting bought out and who they're going to acquire. And they've made it very clear that this organization is here to do one thing and win the championship. And that, to me, is the bottom line of what we're talking about here, because we're not talking about who's going to be the best team during the regular season. Kawhi Leonard has made that very clear of what his goal is as he's playing in basketball. Kawhi Leonard now is clearly what we call a standalone player. He's been great in San Antonio. He's been great there in Toronto. And now he is great there in the Clippers. And he's made them a team where you have to be, and you have to respect them to say, this team can win the last game. Yeah. I just think it's a bottom line decision of what we're talking about.
Kawhi is, if y'all know golf, Brooks Koepka. Like, I'm only here for the majors. Like, all the rest of that stuff, y'all, how many wins? 73? Congratulations. I'm charged up when it matters most. And I tell you, man, like in life, before you get drafted and after you get drafted, you start to learn that the people who are with you when you were down don't necessarily have to be with you when you're up. And this whole Mamba mentality is going to shift and pivot for LeBron to his benefit. Right. Because right now, emotionally, everyone's down because of the loss of Kobe. And LeBron is taking that weight. And he's doing Kobe's dunks. And everything is building equity to him. So when we say, do we really need LeBron to win us a championship? I think there's going to be a large population saying LeBron handled this and held it down. So then going forward, maybe we'd be in that position, but not necessarily right now.
Time now for Darnell's question of the day. All right, take it away, homeboy.
Yes, sir. Let's move to the Warriors, who, let's be honest, are terrible this year. But they just made a big move at the trade deadline, landing Andrew Wiggins from the Timberwolves. Wiggins put up 24 points in his debut with the team, and even though he's got some good stats, hasn't really lived up to the hype since getting drafted number 1 overall back in 2014, and he has a reputation for being soft. I want to ask you guys, do you think Wiggins gets a bad rap?
No. I think he lives up to his reputation. I was told this the year he was coming out of the draft that basically LeBron and the Cavaliers wanted no parts of him because they thought he was soft, and people still think he's soft.
I think it's really unfair to him. I think it's bad branding at play. I think it's perception deception. I've seen it happen to football players. Julius Peppers was called lazy. You know why? Because he played basketball and he was 6'6", 300 pounds, could run a 4.5, and it was kind of easy for him to do that. And we were like, oh, he doesn't look like he really works hard. He's not sweating. It was easy to him. This is a guy who comes from Canada. Two things we always hear. Oh, y'all nice. And y'all soft. So he loses because he's drafted number 1 overall. Then he's traded before he even gets to show who he is. So that perception just runs rampant. And then he finally hits the court. And what he does on the court should change people's minds, except we're pretty stubborn and we want to be right. So I'm looking at Andrew Wiggins, and I have some career numbers on him. And y'all tell me soft, hard, not. Oh, those other guys, Paul Pierce, Tracy McGrady, DeMar DeRozan, interesting. Wiggins is right there. Soft, hard, nice.
He ain't Paul Pierce.
You know what? You know what? He's not better than Paul Pierce, but his numbers suggest that, hey, I'm right here in the place. And Paul Pierce didn't win his championship to his 10th year. Wiggins is in his 6th year.
I saw them both play in Kansas.
Hey, that's great. I see them both play right now in terms of Wiggins now, Pierce then. He's not Paul Pierce. But he ain't soft and he ain't sorry, so that's the whole point. He gets a bad rap.
He's lived up to his rep. He hasn't lived up to the rap. You said he got hyped, right? He hasn't lived up to his hype because he was the number 1 pick.
Yeah.
You look at the rest of that draft class. Who were you going to take? Jabari Parker was the number 2 pick. Joel Embiid, who didn't play the first 2 years of his career and then played 36 games in the third, was the 3rd pick. Go down the line. You're not going to find somebody in that draft class where you say, oh, that was the guy. They missed on this. Now, numbers aside, look, on a bad team, you're going to get an opportunity to score just like you are on a good team if you're featured, if you have the ball in your hands enough. He's played for Flip Saunders, Sam Mitchell, Tom Thibodeau, Ryan Saunders. He's played for 4 different coaches over that time in an organization that has failed him. I'm not going to put it all on him.
Right.
He is who he is. That he hasn't lived up to what we thought he should be, I don't know is his fault. So is it a bad rap? Is it an unfair rap? Yes, without question.
Well, you know, Rick, the number 1 pick is not what we've come to expect now, is what we used to talk about. The number 1 pick with Patrick Ewing and players of that, you came in, you expected something. immediately or helping a franchise. Now we have to call it how we see it right now, which is the formula is very simple. Great players have to be great, and role players have to play their role great. Unfortunately, now we're seeing these players in the lottery, most of them are really role players. They're not great players in the sense that they are ready or prepared mentally, physically. Certainly, they don't have the experience to carry a franchise. We're asking players 1 year experience, 6-8 months in college basketball to come in and begin to carry a franchise. If you look at our league today, the best young players in the game are basically foreign players. Players who have been playing professionally for a number of years, even before they get to the NBA. You look at Luka Doncic, you look at Porzingis, you look at Jokic, you look at Giannis, you look at all of these players who are coming in with experience playing professionally. That is one of the key elements. Yeah. Every day, Rick, you and I go to games, and what's the first thing we look at? We talk about developing players, developmental coaches. Well, you're the number one pick. We now have to get used to seeing and saying it what it is. These players, they're incredibly talented. They have incredibly gifts. I mean, this is a very gifted young man, but they're not ready to perform yet at that level.
And here's the thing. All that was right. But then let's talk about the human psychology that all of a sudden the fans just look at a glass and wants to say, is it half empty or half full, when they don't know what it is. So you get Wiggins full of the hype. His nickname is Maple Jordan. So when you come out nicknamed Maple Jordan, good luck to you, brother. You will fall short of those heights. But in the last 5 years, only 28 players have scored over 20 points per game for average. He's one of them. Like, you don't even find this guy on every single team in the NBA. Yet and still, we try to say that, why did they trade for him? He's not something to build on. He's in his 6th year, and he's giving you great numbers compared to some of the other greats in a bad situation. I think he's good.
I think there's a couple of things. Again, LeBron initially wanting Kevin Love and not wanting anything to do with Andrew Wiggins. Yep. That set a narrative. And then, BJ, I think you made a hell of a point in terms of we need to look at the number one pick differently.
Yes.
And and quit thinking that just because you're drafted number one, that means you're going to be a transcendent player. It means that, okay, we're going to take a bet on you, and hopefully 3 years down the road.
No, ain't slick. Don't do that.
No.
The year LaMelo Ball going to be the number one overall pick. Now we're going to look at it differently. LaMelo ready to ball.
We should.
You don't think LaMelo ready?
Oh, to carry that load?
Carry what? He going to a bad team. Carry what?
You're talking about carrying a franchise. You're talking about that responsibility. You're talking about being able to manage, especially he's going to be a point guard, to manage the other 4 players.
What about Zion? We expect him to carry?
Well, you look at right now, you will argue right now that Zion had all of the hype coming into this draft. But Ja Morant was the most prepared.
Yep. I agree with that.
Okay, and that's what you're seeing now in the NBA, and so we have to call it how we see it.
LeVar Arrington and Bucky Brooks are back. Let's move to the XFL, which debuted with 4 games this weekend that highlighted some pretty unique wrinkles to presenting a football game with different kickoff rules, the ability to go for 1, 2, or 3 points after touchdowns, and a higher level of on-field access with mic'd-up coaches giving fans more insight into how the game unfolds.
Open is a penalty. We're down 9. Your call. I understand. I was pleading my case. The lawyer.
Well, if he's a lawyer, he's won his case because they're going for it.
He's going
on
for
4th and 8. This is where the strategy of the XFL comes in.
All right, the question I think most pertinent from the XFL weekend was, what can the NFL learn from the XFL?
Look, I'm going to go through the list that I think everybody saw. The production value was big. It looked major. Didn't look minor league, which was a plus. What can they learn? That kickoff is special. There's some special sauce in that kickoff. It makes you hold your breath. Just watching it, the optics of it, and I think there's more to even get out of it. Move the kickoff even back a little more to give the returner a little more space than what they already have. But my biggest takeaway is something that I learned by watching the rap game. When Cardi B first came out, and Nicki Minaj was already the greatest female rapper ever, basically. And Nicki had a choice to embrace the new, or you're going to be perceived as old. And NFL, if you want to really make this league work, and I'm talking about no shots at the NFL, but the XFL, embrace it. so that when you borrow things from it, it doesn't look like you're biting and stealing and you don't know what's up. Embrace it, because that will also give more respect to the NFL in creating an alliance with something that could never bother them, that could never disturb them and take them out of their orbit, but also provide so many opportunities. And you talk about being a great experience for guys who are good, but just not good enough to make it to your NFL. So embrace this situation, form that alliance, and then I think that this is a win-win for XFL and NFL.
No, I liked it. Like watching the gameplay, I think there are a lot of things that the NFL can steal from the XFL. I think the 2-point conversions, the 1, the 2, and the 3-point conversion, I think that made it exciting. It makes us stay and watch and see how our teams are going to use it from a strategical standpoint. Also, the pace of play. Like, it reminded me of, like, watching a soccer game. The great thing about watching soccer is 2 hours. It's appointment. It starts at 11, it ends at 1. Because the play clock was always moving, guys had to get out. There wasn't a lot of lag time, and I think that keeps your interest. If the NFL wants to get it down to, like, a 3-hour game, I think stealing a couple ideas from the XFL is the way to go.
I'm going to go personnel angle here. I think that you're always looking at other sports having the luxury of developmental leagues. And the pros have had to use college for the longest time in football because they don't have a minor league. And I think we've seen so many leagues come and go that could have been representation of that. So for me, I look at it more so, again, as a developmental deal, an exposure deal. If you weren't good enough or quite there, or the numbers got a hold of you with the Pac-Man in the locker room, this now can give you a major stage in a major market with great production, as you mentioned, Marcellus, to expose you. Everybody's mic'd up. Mm-hmm. So you get an opportunity to be positive or be negative. You could be seen in a leadership role, or you could be seen in other, right? Same for coaches. This is an opportunity for guys to try to build their respective reputations to possibly get that opportunity. I don't know if the XFL wants to be representation of that. I'm sure they want to be a competitor, but for what it's worth, there's so many years behind ever having the opportunity to establish being a competitor to the National Football League that, to me, I look at it as this is a great opportunity for some of those guys who would have had to have gone to the Canadian leagues or tried to do it in Arena League and actually get some great exposure on a major network.
And my takeaway, and I don't know if I'm even directly answering the question, but if I were the NFL, I would be trying to partner a little bit more with the XFL. Mm-hmm. I think this league is a great opportunity to take the bottom 35 quarterbacks in the NFL
and develop them
in this league. Maybe they only play 4 games during their season or whatever, but I would want the opportunity, if I'm an NFL team, to take my 3rd and 2nd string quarterbacks that never got to play during this season and let them play there. The one thing I would caution the NFL about, and because the other thing I think where there's chance for development is the evaluation of coaches, and because they've given some interesting guys opportunities. And so I love the transparency. You get to hear the coaches communicate. I think that's all helpful for NFL evaluation. I don't want that same transparency, though, in the NFL.
Can't have it.
I don't want coaches mic'd up and players getting interviewed every time they come off the field. Years ago, when I first got to Kansas City, Emmanuel Cleaver was the mayor. He's now a member of Congress. He was the mayor, and I was there getting a lot of attention in my first year. And he brought me over to his office and gave me some advice. And he said, let me tell you something, young brother, remain a mystery. People like to figure out a mystery. Keep some mystery about yourself. Don't tell everything about yourself. And I think that applies to the NFL. I think the transparency works great in the XFL. I don't think it's appropriate for the NFL.
Yeah, that's why you grew your hair back?
Yeah.
Man, don't do that. Now we ain't mysterious.
I want to see you grow yours back.
Like, hell no. I got 2 patches right here. It ain't coming. I love that point because the mystery lends itself to the exclusivity, and then that's what we pay for. Like, not everyone knows, not everyone qualifies. Beautiful point. Also, it's not authentic when you're mic'd up. Like, there was no vulgarity in the XFL mic'd up. And we all have played the game. Trust me. You go in that Lions Den, you're going to hear some things.
And you're
not
going to
only
forget.
see.
We heard the F-bomb very early on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Did you say bomb or bombs?
The F-bomb.
Thank you. That's my point.
Okay.
That's my point. Come on, y'all. Like, that should be the whole sentence.
Yeah, true.
The NFL is smart to really align themselves with them. NFL right now is perceived as this monopoly because it basically is. So what now occurs is a minor league is de facto college football, as you said, and those players, poor players, not even getting paid. Coaches getting extensions after extensions, and the players are getting nothing. Why not shift the public's focus and say, now you really have a minor league where the players are really getting paid?
I'm against that.
You against that?
Just look, man, when Baker Mayfield comes into the NFL because of that Oklahoma fan base, he's a superstar and brings a fan base with him. Lamar Jackson coming from Louisville, superstar. Don't break up that college deal. You want to milk both of these opportunities.
But I'll push back on that and say,
I'm about to say,
for guys like me who were high draft picks, I would have loved to have an opportunity to develop without the pressure of being a high draft pick. I would have loved to have an opportunity.
Accepted that less money? You got a big, fat contract.
Okay, and I understand that. I do understand that.
They cash in.
I will say this. To have the opportunity to develop and have more success and understand some of the things that happen on field as much as off the field.
In the NFL.
It's limited.
You can get capped. You can get hit in the XFL.
Yeah, it could be over. But that is fair.
What's smart for the NFL to do it is right now they're not saying anything, but we already know how this mechanism works. Why not publicly say this is our baby? Oh, we know we got that coming. Those kids are coming, but we got this as our baby.
I think it's just NFL Europe. Repackaged, repurposed, and it's in the States. And you think about NFL Europe and the contributions that were made, not only great quarterbacks, but the coaching pipeline. So we're having this issue with coaches. We can't get enough coaches to populate the sidelines. Well, now we're having a chance to see Pep Hamilton, Winston Moss. We saw Jay Hayes and Jonathan Hayes. Yeah. Both of those guys having opportunities. It gives us an opportunity to see guys develop while also developing the officials.
All right, before we go, I'd like to offer a final word on the Snoop Dogg, Gayle King, Kobe Bryant feud. Over the weekend, Snoop walked back the Don Imus-like menacing rhetoric he directed at Oprah Winfrey's best friend. Rhetoric that, according to King and Winfrey, sparked death threats toward the 65-year-old CBS broadcaster. Personally, I didn't have a problem with King's line of questioning to Lisa Leslie about Kobe's assault allegations in Colorado. King is a woman. Her best friend, Oprah, has talked extensively for decades about the sexual abuse she suffered as a young person. King, Oprah, and other women likely see Kobe's legacy quite differently from me, Snoop, and other men. Having said all of that, Snoop's profane and threatening rant overshadowed the legitimate point he was trying to make. Snoop did have a point. He just butchered it. The point was, there's a significant segment of the black male population that believes King, Winfrey, and their mutual BFF, movie producer Tyler Perry, consistently produce content that is anti-black man. From the movie The Color Purple to any of Perry's movies to the Me Too documentaries Oprah supports, there's a feeling among some heterosexual black men that Winfrey, Perry, and King are part of a narrative that diminishes black men. Here's what's ironic. Winfrey, Perry, and King believe the exact same thing about Snoop and other gangster rappers. That genre of music has framed black men as violent, emotional, and devoid of integrity, character, and ethics. That genre of music celebrates degeneracy, criminality, and hedonism. Gayle King and Snoop Dogg form a real-life version of the meme that has two Spider-Men pointing accusatory fingers at each other. Here's what's even more ironic. Kobe Bryant provides a blueprint for the solution. Kobe is the rare celebrity who evolved into a higher version of himself. His devotion to his daughters, his authentic passion for young people, and his always classy public demeanor are the reason there has been an overwhelming outpouring of love, admiration, and respect in the aftermath of his tragic death. I was a longtime critic of Kobe as a player. I much preferred Shaquille O'Neal. I was bothered when Kobe referenced Shaq to Colorado police. But my opinion of Kobe changed post his playing career. Here's what I said on this show days before he died in the helicopter crash. I love the way Kobe presents himself. It's always, I'm talking about post-career, professional, classy. It's measured. It's calculated. I think real thought has gone into it. Kobe's going to try to put himself in position, in a public spotlight that brings honor to himself, his wife, and his kids. I know a lot of people are sitting there thinking about Colorado. I evaluate people on how they get back up after falling down, and I love the way Kobe's handled his post-career. I think he's a tremendous role model. Kobe Bryant embraced the responsibility of being a role model and carrying himself in a manner that brought respect to himself and black men. Snoop justifiably wants Winfrey, King, and Perry to celebrate that version of Bryant and not relitigate an assault case that Bryant and the accuser settled 15 years ago. Winfrey, King, and Perry justifiably want Snoop, 50 Cent, former NBA journeyman Matt Barnes, and all other people allegedly dedicated to protecting Kobe's legacy to protect Kobe's legacy by carrying themselves publicly with the same class as Kobe Bryant. Right now, all parties, at best, look like hypocritical clout chasers. LeVar Arrington and Bucky Brooks are back. Let's move to the Chargers, who announced today they are parting ways with Phillip Rivers after 16 seasons. Reportedly, buzz is already building around a potential trade that would bring Cam Newton to Los Angeles. But Cam's not the only former MVP being linked to the Chargers. The team is reportedly planning to make a strong push to lure soon-to-be free agent Tom Brady away from New England, which leads to an obvious question. Better fit for the Chargers, Tom Brady or Cam Newton?
I got to speak from my heart and my pocketbook.
Here we go.
Chargers season ticket holder right here, damn it. It's Cam Newton. You can do more at the position with Cam Newton. If both parties show up as potentially as good as they can be. That means healthy, okay, right minds, body, soul, I'm all in. Cam Newton could do more than Tom Brady at this point. We already seen the statue with the Chargers. We had Phillip Rivers, tremendous career. Last year had a tremendous season. Not this year that just passed, 2018. Phillip Rivers, how did that end for them? Falling short once again for the third time to the New England Patriots in the playoffs. So with the receiving core we have, with Austin Eckler, Cam Newton, the way that the game has shifted, oh, man, that would be something special. I want Cam.
Look, I mean, I think we're in the middle of a revolution at the position. We've talked about it. Kyler Murray, Offensive Rookie of the Year. Lamar Jackson, MVP. Pat Mahomes won Super Bowl MVP. Right now, the way the league is going, you have to have someone that is mobile and athletic at the quarterback position. The defensive ends, the pass rushers, they're too good. It's hard to play with a statue. You alluded to it. We just saw Phillip Rivers play behind that offensive line and struggle. Tom Brady is not the athlete that Phillip Rivers is. I just don't think that you can play with a statue behind that line.
That's real.
Tom Brady's a better athlete than Phillip Rivers, but
I know I have a name tag over my head called the Tom Brady groupie. I get it. And I know you sitting over there thinking it, too.
Hey, LeBron.
And I'm going to continue my groupie trail right now. I'm going to roll, and I'm going to walk down that. And this is by process of elimination, all right?
Oh, wow, really?
Yes.
You don't want either, huh? Sounds like.
No, I'm going to go with Brady. And the reason why I'm going to go with Brady is because I can look at his – and listen, y'all can hate on it all you want and say it was something else.
Say it, please.
I'm going with his body of work and what took place this season.
Oh, my God.
All right?
Man.
The way he led his team with less this season would give me the confidence that you could bring him in with more talent. Same thing I said about Dallas. You could bring him in. You have a running game. You have great receiving core, and you got a pretty good defense for San Diego, or excuse me, for the LA Chargers.
Yeah,
I don't know what Cam is bringing to the table.
He bringing his birth certificate.
I don't.
31.
Okay.
In May.
And what did that birth?
Not 42.
How well did that birth certificate work for him this
Brady
season?
hasn't been hurt before? Brady didn't miss a season before? Yes.
Once.
Okay, Cam Newton. Once.
When was that season?
Last year. Before that, he was 6-2 as
last
MVP
year, as in
candidate.
this year.
This year. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So
to me, at his age, I don't know what Cam is bringing to the table
But I could bet
at this
on it.
point.
This is I need runway. I need my plane to take off. I need something
It
in front
sounds
of me.
good.
31, not 42. There's no
sounds
runway
good.
I'm
left.
going to stay
Sounds good.
consistent. Tom Brady has the most value to the New England Patriots. Everybody else, to me, is buyer beware. Unless you're going to bring Belichick and that system and Josh McDaniels and all that other stuff with him, his value is with the New England Patriots. So if given these two choices, Cam Newton, and look, would Tom Brady probably sell more tickets here in L.A.? Maybe.
But how are you not exercising the same thought process with Cam?
Well, because Cam needs new scenery. He needs a fresh new start.
That sounds so nice.
Well,
Mr. Whitlock, Cam needs some new scenery.
He does. He needs a new
able to play
environment.
well.
He needs to start over. Look, man, it happens to some people. They need a new environment to start, fresh start.
Aww.
And I think, to me, Cam would be a better play in Los Angeles. I think his whole little personality and all that dress that he wants to do fits better out here in L.A. than I used to live in Charlotte. Than there. This is a better play for Cam Newton. He's a better fit.
That's a recipe for disaster. He going to end up in Fox doing a movie before he end up on the field, and y'all going to be sitting here, and we're going to hear about him on the other lot, and y'all going to be like, I knew he shouldn't have came out here because he had the glass of wine and his little
cigar,
wee PP, and his cigar. Come on, man.
Get off camera.
Come on, man. Bring Tom back
All
home.
right, Darnell, did anyone win the XFL Super 6 contest this weekend?
Tom.
Yes, sir. Huge shout out to the two fans who got all 4 games correctly and took home $5,000 each.
Nice.
Make sure you download the Fox Sports Super 6 app for free for your chance to win.
Uncle Jimmy's here to help us talk about our approval ratings for Dak Prescott. All right, I see you got your best glory uniform on. Who's your big dummy of the day?
One tier.
Big dummy of the day go to the person that said that Nicki Minaj was the best rapper of all time.
She was.
Best female rapper. I hope Queen Latifah catch you out on the streets and whoop your ass.
MC Light got Latifah. She can't even go there yet.
Yeah, but Latifah got that left.
What about Left Eye and TLC?
Man, stop. Give me some albums first.
How about the Brand?
Ooh.
How about Foxy
maybe
Brown?
favorite. Nah,
How about MC Light?
I said Light. That's all you got. MC
Let's talk
Light,
Dak
baby.
Prescott, who still hasn't gotten the big new deal he wants. Now Cowboys legend Michael Irvin says negotiations are about to get ugly, though our buddy Jay Glazer says a deal will get done. Marcellus, do you think Dak should hold out to get the deal he wants?
Nope. As much as I'm in favor of Dak getting paid, you also get paid by being franchised. I know you got to bank and gamble on your health in terms of year to year, but boy, the franchise train is lucrative. So you can ride it like Kirk Cousins did and still get your money at the end of the day. You just got to be a little more patient. But I wouldn't hold out. Leader of this team, they need you, bro.
Yeah, I'm not going to give Dak any more advice because I'd tell him to take $30 million and keep it moving.
Man.
Anyway, Uncle Jimmy, your thoughts on Dak Prescott?
I knew it was a reason I didn't like Dak Prescott. Just couldn't put my finger on it. And I finally figured it out.
What?
What's that?
Dak act just like my ex-wife, Mae Desson.
Oh, boy.
Both of them got the same character defects. Both of them like to overvalue their worth.
Oh, man.
You know, as far as Mae Desson, her champagne palate and my malt liquor wallet, they wasn't working.
I've been there.
Look at me. And over the course of our marriage, she got more and more demanding. You know, we got to the point that Roscoe's wasn't good enough for her. You know, then she needs Roof Crisp. You know, how the hell we gonna go from chicken and waffles to chicken and truffles? I'm gonna tell you right now, damn it, if Groupon didn't have a coupon, Uncle Jimmy wasn't participating.
I know it.
Look at man, I'm trying to tell you, Mae Desson had the problem with her eyes was bigger than her waistline. And that's saying a whole lot. Anytime at Thanksgiving, you gotta say, baby, go get your brother and help me carry this plate. You got a problem.
Top tier.
Look here, I'm trying to say that her spending habits wasn't financially conducive for the rest of the team. I had to let her test them free agent waters. And that's what Jerry got to do with that. It's called the I can show you better than I can tell you rule.
All right.
You know, he's gonna have to get out there on his own, and he's gonna have to learn fat meat ain't greasy. You know, I'm gonna let him become somebody else's problem. That's just like I had to do Mae Desson. So I'm telling you, I'm holding firm with Jerry. Okay? I ain't gotta tell Jerry nothing. Jerry know what he doing.
Jerry Jones was born at night. He wasn't born last night. I talked to him when we was down in Miami. You know, he got a couple drinks in him. You know, the Bible say, you know, he who get full will run his mouth. You know, I started teasing him a little bit. I said, Jerry, I said, what you gonna do?
Oh, man.
How you gonna sign Dak? Oh, man, Dak, hey, man, Jerry got all belligerent. Talking about, hot damn, you're right. I know my money's tight. God damn, I guarantee you, Dak ain't getting another penny out of me tonight. Jerry just got belligerent. He ain't giving Dak another dime.
Oh,
Stand by your guns, Jerry.
That's not bad, Uncle
Glory
Jimmy.
Part 2.
Let me get to my approval rating for Dak Prescott. He's dropped a few more points down the scout team.
I like that blue suit now.
Dropped him a point in job performance, point in all-time greatness, point in authenticity.
Why are you dropping him?
Yeah, just a point everywhere across the board. 4 points down, 58 scout team.
He's closer to getting paid and you dropping him and getting paid more than you ever thought he could. You had him at what, $27 million? They already offered $33 million. Good Lord, Dak. Only thing I dropped him in his job performance because he's got to get out of character now to get his money. Unfortunate, but everything else stays pat or going up.
Internet agrees with me, Marcellus. 48% have Dak at a scout team.
It's fashionable to hate on Dak right now. That's the flavor of the month right now. People don't like him.
It's like Uncle Jimmy says, his eyes are bigger than the stomach.
Dak gonna have to learn.